let me share my screen and we're going to dive right into, and actually I am going to share it this way so I can bounce around to the links here. All right. So you'll remember that last time we ended about 5 minutes early, so it was a little shorter than usual. We started by diving into Stacy's brand key. And then what we were doing is we were going through some of her marketing assets, her bio, her website, her Instagram, and sort of reconciling the two. Was her content on brand, or was her brand key maybe not fully fleshed out because there were some, diamonds in the rough, some gems that we were finding in her other marketing content. So I'm going to quickly breeze through that to refresh our memory. And then we're going to do it again for Martha Knapp, because what I have found is that it's really hard to do this for yourself. It's much easier to do it on somebody else's brand. So going through it a few times is going to help us to get the rhythm and the mechanics. Before I do that, though, I want to ask in the questions here. I'm going to do it in the attendees. Do you guys see how you can raise your hand? Can you raise your hand? Yeah, you can do it on the camera or on the in the Zoom app if you have already done at least a draft of your brand key. Because that's my promise to you, is at the end of this thing, which is ending soon, you're going to have a fully fleshed out brand key that's going to serve as a yardstick for your business from here on out. So it looks like a bunch of you probably haven't done it yet, and that's common, right? Most, it's really hard to put pen to paper on that. So a lot of you have, but I hope that today, as we focus on where the rubber meets the road, you're going to see how to do that, and you can hurry and do it. Okay. So let's do a quick refresher on Stacy. So remember, Stacy's in Chicago, hence the jersey. And she's focused on first-time home buyers as her audience. You'll remember that Stacy used to work as a special ed teacher and a social worker. So she's very patient. She takes an educational approach to this. She's calm, always available for her clients. She's casual, tends to wear fun sneakers, jeans, drives a Lexus SUV. And her essence, as it stands right now, is to help her clients feel cared for. Okay. So then we dug into her Instagram. We had some feedback about, some of the videos and things like that, longer descriptions, bring more personality into what she was doing. And then we didn't really get into her bio. That's literally kind of all we got last time. But I'm going to give some quick pointers on bios. What I find is that a lot of the stuff that we tend to put at the very end of our bio is the stuff that really differentiates us. Let me share some examples here. We're going to read through this one. Buying or selling a home is stressful, so it's essential to have someone you trust with experience and knowledge to help navigate the process and make it as seamless as possible from start to finish. Having grown up in the northern suburbs, lived in the city for 20 plus years, and worked in the northwest, southwest, and southern outskirts of Chicago for decades, Stacy's your ultimate partner and resource. She knows the housing markets and school systems in both Chicago and surrounding areas, and works with renters, buyers, and sellers to achieve their unique goals. So quick thoughts on this one. I like how quickly Stacy gets into the differentiators. What I find is a lot of agents will spend so much time with generic stuff up here. And this first sentence is generic, right? Any agent in Chicago, any agent in the world could say buying or selling a home is stressful, so it's essential to have someone you trust. I would suggest that it's not necessary to have this first sentence. The reason being, when people read through and there's nothing terribly unique or differentiating with these three big blocks of text, there's a really good chance they're not going to read any further. So what I would do here is probably start with something a little bit more narrative. Skip the first sentence, and having grown up in the northern suburbs, lived in the city for 20 plus years, and worked everywhere in this big city, Stacy's your ultimate partner and resource. And I love that she talks about knowing the school systems in Chicago and the surrounding areas. So we're starting to get into that differentiation. And then as we get down even further here, Stacy specializes in assisting first-time home buyers, as well as people relocating to the Chicagoland area domestically or internationally. In addition to her Illinois real estate license, which she obtained in April 2015, she earned the prestigious ABR and SRES designations to enhance her services and expertise. And then we go on here. I don't think this stuff is nearly as important because it's not as differentiated or emotional as this stuff, right? So if you start with, she knows the city inside and out, that's like table stakes, right? Like no one wants an agent that doesn't really know their stuff. But now let's get into what it would be like to work with Stacy. With a background in social work and special ed, Stacy excels at the arts of listening, communication, problem solving, negotiating. So do you see what I'm saying here? That the takeaways here are, you want to really cut down on the stuff that's very generic, that literally any agent would be able to put in their bio, because it doesn't differentiate you. And you want to lean into the stuff that is going to drive an emotional connection and really separate you from the pack. Everybody is going to be able to do that in their bios. And if we jump back up here, she's nailed the first-time home buyers, right? And this is how we want to use the brand key. Ideally, you'll use your brand key and you'll talk to your copywriter or your friend or your husband or whoever helps you write your bio, and you'll be able to use this as a yardstick to see if it's on brand. So first-time home buyers, yes, she talked about that explicitly in her bio. The special ed, yes. Calm wasn't there. It evoked calm, but it may be worth adding that word in, right? Adding words in like, can make this otherwise chaotic process feel calm, or something like that. Always available. There's a way to, again, there's a way to do that in a way that lends itself well to all of the other elements of the brand key. So instead of just saying Stacy's always available for your every need, say, the home buying process is complicated and it's normal to have lots of questions. Stacy's always available to answer your questions, no matter how small. Now you've said the same thing, but you've said it in a way that is really unique to this special ed patient educator brand that we're building. This stuff doesn't show up as much, but it does show up in the style. So if the style is casual, fun sneakers and jeans, I might reevaluate use of things like, where was this here? Obtained, and then, excels. These are words that are not super, here's the column, remaining patient and calm. These are not really colloquial words. They're words that we tend to use in writing, but not when we're speaking, unless we're very formal people, but Stacy's not. And so I would encourage you to use your style element to go through all of your written communication and say, does it really sound like me? And most of this kind of does. The other thing I would do is consider not writing this in the third person, but write it in the first person, which is going to give you a chance to make a more emotional connection and bring your personality out in a much stronger way than you're going to be able to do if it's third person. Okay, so listing description. I have similar thoughts on this one. Rare 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit in a boutique 5-story elevator building in East Avondale. This unit features a wide open floor plan, high ceilings with tall windows, and an extra long terrace off the living room. The kitchen boasts 42-inch cherry cabinets, granite countertops, and a large island, all stainless steel appliances, and an in-unit washer and dryer. Enjoy a very spacious primary suite with 2 large closets, double vanity sinks, a whirlpool tub, and separate standing shower. The second bedroom easily fits a queen bed set, and a second bath features a standing shower. 1 heated garage parking space is included in the price. Fabulous location, nestled between Roscoe Village and Logan Square. Walk to it all. Let me pause here. You can come off mute, or you can share your thoughts in the chat. What do you guys think? What would you change about this listing description, having now immersed ourselves in Stacy's brand?
I'd personally put the last part, walk to it all, in the very start first.
Agree.
Part of the listing description. I mean, you're selling the amenities of the neighborhood.
Agree.
There's really no personality that comes through. This is really just a list of the features, and there's not much excitement about the features or what the livability would be like or how it might fit into the lifestyle of the potential buyer. So I think injecting this with just a lot of personality and flair from the brand to make this exciting and really attractive.
Very, very well said, Jeremy. Basically, the way I think of it, so, and by the way, Stacy, this is a great listing description, right? This is on par with what almost every agent under the sun does. But what I hope you see here is that when you start with a brand key and use it to inform and guide all of your other marketing, your marketing becomes differentiated. It doesn't just blend into the whitewash of what everybody else is doing, and it helps you stand out and become a memorable agent. That's why branding is so important. Your brand is out there doing work, living rent-free in everybody's head when you're, taking a vacation or sleeping at night. So exactly as has been said, basically the way I think of the listing description is picture your audience in your mind, that first-time home buyer, especially a first-time home buyer who wants to live in East Avondale. If you took them to see this listing, excuse me, what would you say to them? And you'd probably start with some of that stuff that Jeremy talked about. The best part about this this unit is you can walk to everything. And then I love that you've dropped some of the actual places, right? The Wolfhound Honey Butter Fried Chicken. That's great. It brings in that intimacy of the neighborhood. So I would lead with those types of things. And the other thing I would look to here is to see if you can't, because remember, even if you tend to be a buyer's agent, which is what Stacy's brand key is oriented toward, first-time buyers, that is why a lot of people will choose you to sell their property, because they know you get the buyer. So if you know that this is likely to go to a first-time home buyer, you don't need to say this is a great first-time home buyer, but you can talk about things that first-time home buyers care about. It's not their forever home. So with these amenities in this location, it'll be easy. This type of unit is always in hot demand, or something like that will sort of put the first-time buyer's mind at ease, that if they just stay here until they have their first kid and then need to expand and get something else, or they, quote unquote, outgrow the city, they're going to be able to. They're not sort of locked into this forever. Okay, good stuff. Let's jump in here. Okay. Yeah, Kim, I tend to agree. Put in that last sentence first. Okay. So that's Stacy's brand key. And the one question here, after we've been through this a couple of times now, is we want to come back to that essence, because the essence is really the litmus test, right? So if Volvo, for example, runs an ad and it doesn't evoke the feeling of safety, it's a miss. Just kick that sucker to the curb. It's not right. Mercedes, if they do one that makes it sound like a sports car without touching on hand-stitched leather seats and, exotic wood interiors, then they've missed the mark, because they're all about luxury. So the question here, this is the hardest part of the brand key, but when you nail it, it becomes so helpful for everything you do, is, does cared for feel like the right essence for a brand like Stacy's? Any thoughts? So I can start. I think it does. I think it works really well, actually. It's emotional, it's an easy litmus test. So if that's the case and you guys agree, then it becomes that easy yardstick. We go back to this and we say, does this leave us feeling cared for? And as you pointed out, there's room for some more personality. Does this leave me feel cared for? It can, right? It has the raw ingredients, but we probably need to do some reordering and some bolstering. So you can see how it just becomes really easy to look at any piece of marketing you do and say, I don't know, does it feel like a super patient special ed teacher who genuinely loves to help people wrote this or would be working with me? And if not, cool, take another pass at it. No big deal. Okay, with that, we're going to do another one quickly. We have 11 minutes. Martha Knapp, out on Cape Cod, where a lot of my wife's family lives. Here is the starting point for Martha's brand key. Love the specificity of the audience. They're second homeowners who, in a lot of cases, are looking to transition full-time to the Cape in about 10 years. i.e. when they're empty nesters or they're retired or whatever, right? And they've got a sense of humor. They tend to have a sense of humor. So I thought that was interesting. What are Martha's values? Caring and kindness, sincere, not salesy, and never too busy. So you're starting to see some themes here, and you're going to see these themes if you know, if at the end we were to have time to look at everybody's brand key, I think we'd find that a lot of the values are very, very similar, and that's fine. But we want to make sure that we especially lean into the values that are differentiated, because those are the ones that are going to separate us from the pack. So the caring and kindness, I think, is fine. Not everyone is going to put that on there, right? I work with plenty of agents who are like, I'm a bulldog and I'm going to go in there, I'm going to get that deal. They're not, it's not caring and kindness, and that's okay. If you're dealing with the ridiculously hot San Francisco market or something like that, you might want a bulldog, you know? I like the not salesy. And the never too busy is one we have to be a little careful with, because everyone kind of says that and it's not terribly differentiated. Her style is casual, classic.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
On that never too busy, what are your thoughts on using those kinds of words like always, never, to where it's 100% versus, you know, available for you? And not using the never too busy. Because then if you're out of town, or if you are sick or have somebody in the hospital, you are too busy.
Yeah, it's a great point, Linda. And I think it points to the need to be really to avoid sort of jargon and lingo and these sort of isms that everybody includes in their bios. I think it's okay to use them thematically, right? Like to point to the fact that your attitude is one of, I'm always there for you. But there's a difference between always being there for you and literally always being available. Like sometimes we all know someone might need to just cool their jets for a minute, and you know, responding to them right away, maybe respond to them right away, but engaging with them right away, you know, people need to simmer first. And so you have to have that deftness. But I also think here that people want to work with people. And one of the things that I really liked about what Martha started that shows up in her essence here is, let's jump over to the essence for a moment. She wants people to feel that they were well taken care of, and I listened to them. So you can see there's a way to say this never too busy in a, I love listening and figuring out what's underneath the surface. What do you really want? Is another way of saying, I'm not going to rush this process. I'm always available for you, etc. Doesn't quite say it, but elements of it. Made their best interest the priority. That's another way of saying kind of, I'm never too busy for you, but without it being literal. You know, I am not going to rush this deal. We are going to take our time to find exactly what's right for you. We're not settling here. This is where you're going to spend your golden years. Helping them stay calm during stressful situations is actually another way that is kind of rooted in this. It's that availability. Do they have the emotional availability? The agent, you know, when I'm stressed, are they going to be there for me, or am I going to be, you know, bouncing off the walls and feeding my fears? But then the one I was going to point out most here is they enjoyed the time we spent together and feel they've made a friend. People want to work with other people. They want to work with humans who get it. And so I think it's a very, very good point, Linda, and something we want to bear in mind is we got to humanize this stuff. Oh, it looks like I left a spare bullet in here from, as I was editing this, from our friend Stacy.
That's okay, Kevin. I'd like a Lexus SUV.
But what I love about this is, so this is really important to know. Martha works on Cape Cod, selling largely second homes to people who presumably live mostly in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And she drives a Toyota Highlander, not a Lexus SUV. I'm sure she could afford one. But she does it because it's practical. She ends up doing a lot of driving in the snow. She needs to load stuff in there. And I think that's really important. It's not for everybody, right? But there's a lot of agents who don't drive the validating luxury car that says I'm successful. They drive the super practical, I'm going to show up with my sleeves rolled up, ready to get this house into ship shape to get it ready for the broker's tour, whoever's coming through. So there's no right answer to any of this. And so I like seeing the nuance. We have 6 minutes left, so I'm going to jump in here. I will say none of this really showed up in the brand key, but I quite liked, Martha, your tagline on your website, your bridge to Cape Cod real estate, because there's so much in your audience here that is transition. That's a big deal to go to have a second home and to think that maybe you could live in it forever, full time, and what that's going to look like. And helping people transition to that very different lifestyle, I think is a very interesting positioning. So I quite liked that. We have here Martha's Instagram, which I'm going to pull up here. And we'll scroll through some of this. So we're just going to go through a couple of these, like 2 minutes, because we don't have a ton of time. I'm going to stop sharing and share the whole screen. Okay, there we go. So here we've got the whole screen. You can see here. So from Cape Cod to anywhere in the USA, I've got an agent that can guide you and answer questions that only the locals would know. I'm part of an amazing network of Compass agents who I'm confident will treat you the same way that I would buying or selling on Cape Cod. Okay. So I think let's look at one more here. Got to move. There we go. Let's jump and look at this one. There's still plenty of good biking days left this year. One of the greatest parts of living on Cape Cod is getting outside and enjoying the activities. For all you vivid bikers, anyone know which part of the rail trail this is? Here's a hint. It's in a town I love. Okay. So I think generally, so this one I really like because the personality comes through, right? That local knowledge. It's in a town I love, a town I love, and it's one of the best parts, and it's seasonally relevant. This one, I think, could be a little bit more polished, just in terms of like the text overlay could have a little bit more style to it that's going to reflect, your brand. I think it is. Hey, look, Stacy. And I think that this is an important message to get out. I think it's totally fine. In general, I think that most agents don't put enough copy on their Instagram, right? Long weekends are also good for getting your home ready for cold weather. Here are 9 ways you can help prepare your home for fall on Cape Cod. You could do a little bit more, with more text, you're going to have a chance to share more of your personality. And so that's why I'm pretty vocal about the need. Let's look at this one real quick here. Did you know there's a bustling equestrian community right here on Cape Cod? True North coaches are not only highly experienced, Massachusetts riding instructor certified, they are a U.S. Pony Club riding center right here in Harwich. Learn more about lessons and other events at True North Farm. So this I love because it's got that really local, kind of flavor to it. Now, as we jump back here to Martha's brand key, we can see we don't have, what I'm seeing a theme of is connected to a network of other agents and well connected to the community. I'm seeing a lot of nuance here, but it doesn't come through in the values. So this goes both ways, right? We use the draft brand key to go see if we want to make any improvements to our content, but then we use our content, which we didn't write with the brand key, it just sort of was written from the heart, hopefully, to see if we've missed any of our core values or things like that. And then here we have Martha's bio. So in our last minute or two here, I'm going to pull up Martha's bio, and we're going to read through this. Cape Cod has always been a part of Martha's life. That's a great opener, right? That's a great opener. That's kind of what we're getting at with Stacy's, is lead with the emotional story, the narrative. Growing up in a suburb of Boston, Martha often traveled here as a child to visit relatives, enjoyed camping each summer with her family in various areas across the Cape. Her days were spent at the beach or exploring, and nights were filled with campfires and stories. They would collect shark's teeth at the head of the Meadow Beach in Truro, buy great fudge, and climb the dunes in P-Town, and visit all the quaint artisan shops along Route 6A. I freaking love this. I love this, right? They would collect shark's teeth at the head of Meadows Beach. Why is that so powerful? I want an agent who's going to help me plant these roots where I'm going to do this with my grandkids, who understands what childhood is like on the Cape. If I'm an affluent second homeowner who's going to retire out here, I want my grandkids spending the summer with me, and I need to know where you can find shark seed. So it's very emotional. It's got narrative. And then she gets into the bona fides down here, right? Member of the Cape Cod Islands MLS, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. Former founder and ED of Angels Hope. This is all fine, but you either get them in the first paragraph or they don't read anything else. And more often than not, it's the first couple of lines of text that get them. So that's a fantastic bio, Martha. And as I keep hitting stop share. Okay, we're at time. Let me jump back here to our slides. As we circle back to Martha's brand key, and I think this is helpful to do a 1-2 punch, right? So we quickly finished the previous one. Because so few of you have finished your brand keys, I'm going to do this in November too. I think you're all going to benefit from it. The examples are so helpful. So once again, if you want to be our guinea pig, shoot me a note, kevin@agentupgrade.com, right? And we are going to close out, Martha, because we can't really close this out in -1 minute next time we meet. But if you want to do yours, shoot me a note, kevin@agentupgrade.com. Okay, thanks everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
You bet. Bye, everyone.
This was great. Thank you.